Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. The WBC champion Deontay Wilder has had a change of heart, wanting to unify the division sooner rather than later, and he wants Tyson Fury to help him do that. And what I mean by that is he wants Tyson Fury to step aside, not have the rematch as planned next year, so he can fight the winner of Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. So Wilder talking to 78 Sports TV, and I'll go through some of the quotes just on the stuff around Fury stepping aside so he could fight the winner and him wanting to fight the winner, and then on to a couple of thoughts about that, but also Wilder's thoughts on what Fury is doing to prepare for him for a second time around. So we'll start with the comments regarding unification with the winner of Ruiz and Joshua, whenever that should happen in terms of if they could even get a unification fight done. Wilder told 78 Sports TV, "Let's make the fight happen. Unify, one champion, one face, one name. I don't want to hear about no mandatories. I don't want to hear about none of that. None of that." And then later he said, "In my opinion, I don't feel Fury wants to fight me again anyway. I gave him a concussion." And he went on to add, "If this opportunity came about, I think Fury will pass up this opportunity. He will want me to fight for the unification and then come back and fight him." And then he went on to explain how originally after their fight on December 1st, 2018, Fury had said Joshua and Wilder should go away, fight, and then fight him afterward. And then later in the interview again, he said, "I would want him to step aside, which I think he would do anyway. I don't want nobody to get my words crossed up. I think he would, but I would want him to do it as well to give the unification." And those were Deontay Wilder's statements to 78 Sports TV. So very different rhetoric to the stuff that Wilder was saying earlier in 2018, where in the Anthony Joshua fight week ahead of his June 1st fight against Andy Ruiz Jr., he announced two fights. He announced the Luis Ortiz fight, and then later announcing in that week a fight with Tyson Fury, a rematch for some point in 2020. But in that first message that he posted on May 28th, and you can see here on screen, as part of the second part of this, he said he needed to clear up his controversial fights ASAP. And this is a very different sort of sounding Deontay Wilder now. So obviously he feels the time is right to unify the heavyweight division if he gets the opportunity to do so. So there's a couple of things with this. I guess the first one is Deontay Wilder is not doing what he said he wanted to do. He wants to change his mind now and go a different direction. And I'm not sure how Tyson Fury will feel about that. There was definitely a feeling within the interview that he effectively was saying Tyson Fury didn't want to fight him anyway. So he was trying to rationalize changing tack by saying he didn't think Fury wanted the rematch anyway. And I guess because Fury had walked away from the originally scheduled rematch, which would have been on May 18th, you can make a case for that. But Tyson Fury has been saying publicly he signed his end of the deal for a fight in 2020. He's been saying February the 22nd, 2020. And I'm not sure if that really is locked in, but that's something that Tyson Fury's repeated a few times now. So I think Tyson Fury, I can imagine he's going to come out and basically say that Wilder doesn't want to fight him now. But getting back to the other thing, with this potential unification that Wilder is now talking about, could it actually happen? Because he says, I don't want to hear about no mandatories, but we are right in the middle of a situation, and it's been pretty well signaled now. The IBF has already said that the winner of that fight must face Kubrat Pulev by the end of May 2020. So you're not going to squeeze in a fight with the winner of Ruiz Joshua 2 and then Wilder and then get one to Kubrat Pulev at the end of May. These top guys are only fighting twice a year. Wilder's only fought twice a year for about the last 3 years or so. Same for Anthony Joshua. It's a couple of fights a year and that's it. So it doesn't really matter who wins that fight between Ruiz and Joshua, because they're going to have to either fight Kubrat Pulev or get stripped. And there has been some murmurings with the WBO that they could want their mandatory ahead of the IBF. So there could be a bit of a bun fight about who is next in terms of the mandatory challenges. So I just don't know if there's really any scope to have an undisputed fight, because if you don't have one of the belts, well, it can't be undisputed. So he may not want to hear about mandatories, but mandatories is a very big thing right now. There has been no mandatory challengers have their shot in 2019. They've been piling up since 2018. I've been saying for a long time, these mandatory challenges are going to become an issue at some point, and it's starting to come to a head. So Wilder may not like it, but mandatories are well and truly in the picture here. So he may end up going on to fight the winner of Ruiz Joshua 2, but all the belts may not be on the line. That just could be something that plays out. And just moving on to a logical question, well, why now? Why the 180 from Deontay Wilder? Has the loss by Anthony Joshua given him the confidence that even if Joshua beats Ruiz in the rematch, that he feels that he can take Joshua, that maybe the threat level isn't as much as possibly he thought before? He probably feels like he can knock Andy Ruiz Jr. out even if Ruiz Jr. beats Anthony Joshua. But he's deviated from this original plan, which was not facing Joshua in 2019, and he sort of kicked it out to 2020. But then obviously now he's talking about going away from not fighting Tyson Fury, which was one of the two guys he said he had to rematch ASAP, his so-called controversial fights that he had to clear up ASAP. So Deontay Wilder is being a little bit all over the place here. It's not exactly been consistent, and I'm sure he will justify it any way he can if he can get the opportunity to unify. And maybe it won't be an undisputed fight. Maybe it will just be a unification. Maybe there will be one or two belts that will go and be spread elsewhere, because obviously the IBF situation, you can't really avoid that. And I'm sure there will be some people who want to weigh into the comments now saying that undisputed or unification will trump mandatory. That would be a position that would hold some weight if the IBF hadn't have already ruled on the situation with Kubrat Pulev. They've said he has to have his title shot by a certain date in 2020, the end of May, I believe it was. So that is already in stone there. They're not going to go around that. That is something that's immovable now. So the chances of undisputed or even just a unification involving the IBF strap become so much more difficult now, and it's really probably only going to be possible after Pulev gets his shot. But moving on to something else that Wilder said of Tyson Fury, the person that he said he thinks would step aside, that doesn't really want to fight him again, and that he thinks Fury would want him to fight in a unification and then rematch Fury. He said of Fury's preparations for a potential rematch, he ain't been preparing properly for me. He's not trying to take hard challenges. Of course he's using my name because I'm connected to him. I revived his career. He had no choice but to be connected to me. And I think Wilder's sentiments, while crediting himself for reviving Tyson Fury's career, I think you could probably turn that around and go Tyson Fury revived his own career by putting on a performance that was very credible against Wilder. I think the whole thing about not taking on hard challenges, most people agree with him. Fury is not doing enough. Tom Schwartz and then fighting a southpaw in Otto Warren. I mean, you can make a case that both those guys are tall, but at the end of the day, it's not the sort of caliber of opposition that he should be in the ring with. He's ringing the till for big paydays, and I guess at the moment he probably thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, getting 8-figure paydays for fighting guys that are sort of top 50 opponents. He's doing well for himself, but I agree with Wilder here. Fury is not doing enough to prepare for a potential rematch. And the whole thing by Wilder about Fury not wanting to face him again is just speculation. I think Fury would want to face him again at the back end of his deal with ESPN, when he's had some of those easier money fights and he's racked up tens of millions of dollars into his bank account. It's pretty clear what he's doing with the plan to, before facing Deontay Wilder again. And I guess ESPN and Top Rank, maybe they don't like some of what's going on, but I guess, they are wedded to Fury now, and they're going to have to talk up and sell these fights. Fury and Otto Warren on September 14th. But on unification, Deontay Wilder's sort of a little bit over the map here. I do believe he does want to unify, but he has sort of said he wants to take care of his controversial fights. But now he's asking Fury to step aside, and I'm sure Fury will have something to say. But what do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.